Lisette, you are now inside Ukraine. Tell us what you've seen, what you're hearing.
Well, it's interesting that you even just played that clip, because already I've had a local show that to me today proudly, because that defiance is shared all over Ukraine at the moment. The patriotic vibe is certainly here. Just we set up the camera and someone started singing at the top of their lungs an old school song that tells the story of World War II and a father who died to save his country. So that is sort of the feeling on the streets. There's a curfew in place, so it is starting to get quieter because that's about to kick in. But we're already noticing a very heavy military presence on the street. They shy away from the cameras, but we've seen multiple groups come down the streets with completely armed, not like anything I've seen before, and certainly not anything you see in New Zealand. We've seen statues. This is really interesting. There's statues all around town here that are covered up with curtains and fabric, and the reason for that is they're trying to disorientate the Russian troops. So they want to remove anything that would give away what street you're on or where you are or what city you're on. A lot of the signs are covered up. And the other thing we've noticed, Ryan, which is also very confronting, is the checkpoints. Now, these checkpoints are set up all over the city. They on the main road, any kind of street that comes off the main road has a checkpoint in front of it where armed men are standing. They check your vehicle, they check that you are someone who should be travelling through that area, because they're really just standing there trying to defend their villages from Russian troops.
Tell us about this call between the French president and Vladimir Putin. I understand it was a 90-minute call in which there was quite an ominous message from Putin.
Yes, certainly not good news at all. Macron has been a real middleman between the West and Putin. He has had a lot of time speaking with the Russian president in the last month. And again, he sat down for talks at a time where talks are so critical. And I think everyone was hopeful that perhaps he would come away with some better news. But no, the result was that Macron got the impression Russia intends to go until they have the entire of Ukraine occupied. And the message Macron has put out to the world is that he expects the worst is yet to come. And when you look at the scenes that are currently, playing out all over Ukraine, it is a devastating concept, an idea that things could get worse than what they are at the moment. Already so many lives have been lost, both troops and civilians, and the idea that that is going to get even worse is really disappointing or shocking, really. Yeah,
absolutely. And the thing is, Lisette, the peace talks that we have been hearing about over the past couple of days, the second round underway, and, peace not really seeming possible or in reach at the moment, but there is some relief, some corridors potentially being created for fleeing Ukrainians. What can you tell us about that?
That's right, and that is critical. So the second round of peace talks currently underway. They've been going for about 2.5 hours, but we have just heard that Ukraine and Russia have agreed to introduce safe corridors to evacuate people from very dangerous areas and deliver aid to those areas and from those areas. So that is certainly a positive step forward. We've already seen more than 1 million people, more than 1 million Ukrainians have been forced to flee their homelands because they are so scared and frightened. And it was shocking when we drove in today from the border to Poland, which is where 500,000 of those refugees have gone. You could see the grass all the way down the highway for kilometres and kilometres. I'm talking up to 40 kilometres down from the border, was completely trampled with the footsteps of those refugees who have made this exodus out under the most horrific circumstances, not knowing that there was a safe corridor, not knowing there was any protection for them, absolutely frightened and fearing for their lives every step of that way, and it was a very long journey for them. So news that there is going to be a way for people to get out of those dangerous areas safely is definitely a positive step, but there is so much more to do. And as always with the agreements that are made with Russia, people here in Ukraine are very cynical, very sceptical of all of those decisions, and it's more a wait and see. We'll believe it when we see it.
Yeah, absolutely, and with good reason too. Lisette, thank you so much for your reporting this morning from Lviv, inside Ukraine. It's our Europe correspondent Lisette Raymer with us live.